The raven swoops over. They had only just finished the job when Roly-Poly Bird came swooping in, screaming, "They're coming back! They're coming back!" Quickly the birds flew back onto the roof of the house. The monkeys rushed into their cage and stood upside down, one on top of the other. A moment later, Mr. and Mrs. Twit came marching into the garden, each carrying a fearsome-looking gun. "Glad to see those monkeys are still upside down," said Mr. Twit. "They're too stupid to do anything else," said Mrs. Twit. "Hey, look at all those cheeky birds still up there on the roof. Let's go inside and load our lovely new guns, and then it'll be bang, bang, bang and bird pie for supper." Just as Mr. and Mrs. Twit were about to enter the house, 2 black ravens swooped low over their heads. Each bird carried a paintbrush in its claw, and each paintbrush was smeared with sticky glue. As the ravens whizzed over, they brushed a streak of sticky glue onto the tops of Mr. and Mrs. Twit's head. They did it with the lightest of touch, but even so, the Twits both felt it. "What was that?" cried Mrs. Twit. "Some beastly bird has dropped his dirty droppings on my head." "On mine too," shouted Mrs. Twit. "I felt it! I felt it!" "Don't touch it," cried Mrs. Twit. "You'll get it all over your hands. Come on inside and we'll wash it off at the sink." "Those filthy, dirty brutes," yelled Mr. Twit. "I bet they did it on purpose. Just wait until I've loaded up my gun." Mrs. Twit got the key from under the doormat, where Mugglewup had carefully replaced it, and into the house they went. The Twits are turned upside down. "What is this?" gasped Mr. Twit as they entered the living room. "What's happened?" cried Mrs. Twit. They stood in the middle of the room, looking up. All the furniture, the big table, the chairs, the sofa, the lamps, the little side tables, the cabinet with the beers in it, the ornaments, the electric fire, the carpet, everything was stuck upside down to the ceiling. The pictures were upside down on the walls, and the floor they were standing on was absolutely bare. What's more, it had been painted white to look like the ceiling. "Look!" screamed Mrs. Twit. "That's the floor. The floor's up there. This is the ceiling. We're standing on the ceiling." "We're upside down," gasped Mrs. Twit. "We must be upside down. We're standing on the ceiling looking at the floor." "Oh, help!" screamed Mrs. Twit. "Help, help, help! I'm beginning to feel giddy." So am I, cried Mr. Twit. "I don't like it one little bit." "We're upside down and all the blood's going to my head," screamed Mrs. Twit. If we don't do something quickly, I shall die. I know I shall die." "I've got it," cried Mr. Twit. "I know what we'll do. We'll stand on our heads, then anyway we'll be the right way up." So they stood on their heads. And of course, the moment the tops of their heads touched the floor, the sticky glue that the ravens had brushed on a few minutes more before did its job. They were stuck. They were pinned down, cemented, glued, fixed to the floorboards. Through a crack in the door, the monkeys watched. They jumped right out of their cage the moment the Twits had gone inside, and the Roly-Poly Bird watched. And all the other birds flew in and out to catch a glimpse of this extraordinary sight.